Hello everybody, thanks for joining the channel today for this next song and delve. I'm Brett Robin Wood. I'm creating songs that can hopefully shed a little bit of light on this amazing human journey. And I'm delighted today to be joined by Shandra Moran, who is the CEO of Transit Lounge. She's going to join me for some delving today. Let me just switch over so you can see Shandra. G'day, Shandra. How you going?
Hi, Brett. I am super well and very excited to be here.
Lovely. Transit Lounge. I really love that name for your company. Do you want to tell us a little bit
Thank you.
about Transit Lounge?
Yes, well, I actually thought of the name on the back of a scooter ride to Bondi Junction and Bondi Beach with my husband, and it just popped into my head, and I loved it too. So that's where it came from after many brainstorms of other ideas. But what the Transit Lounge is and does is that I work with women who have a side business as a coach, consultant, or course creator, some kind of knowledge or expertise as a side business that they want to grow to be a viable full-time focus for them in the next chapter of their work life, so that they can ditch the day job when they're ready and focus on the business. And I help them to grow that business in a sustainable way. And I do that through private coaching programs and an online group program I have called Women in Transit, The Path to Being Your Own Boss.
Yeah, that's great. What you and I have in common is the real passion for helping people make progress on what matters for them. And I'm a little jealous actually that it's women, that you work with women, but but that's okay. I get it. Good on you.
I do have some private clients who are men.
Oh, okay.
But yes, but my group program
Yeah,
is
yeah.
specifically
Yeah,
women.
that was the calling, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also just thinking about at that time when I started the business and started the program, who I felt I could add the most value to and make the biggest impact with. And a lot of what I do, I guess, does delve into and share my past experience. So, I can bring that context as a woman, as a female as well. So I think,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there's also just marketing. You can't be for everyone. So
That's absolutely, yeah, yeah. You want to find your tribe, your people. Hey,
heaps.
it's one of the reasons I invited you for this particular song and delve is because this song is, well, it fits with the transition theme. It's really a song. It's called All the Way, and it's a song about commitment and the journey to. I think you used the word chapter, that next sort of chapter of life, and that can be a tricky journey. So I wrote this song about it, and let's see where it goes. I'll see you in a moment. I'll just put myself back on and play the song. You got 1 foot on the boat, 1 foot on the shore, but twixt and between the known and the dream, you've been here before. All the way, you gotta go all the way. No half measures, you wanna get that treasure, you gotta go all the way. You heard the call to get up and follow the breeze. Well, finish your cuppa, but don't hang around reading the tea leaves. 'Cause the road less traveled refuses to give guarantees. And there's all kinds of traps, but there's all kinds of free. All the way, you gotta go all the way. Yeah, all the way, gotta go all the way. half measures. You wanna get that treasure, you gotta go. From Egypt to Canaan, there's a desert in between. But keep looking up and the oasis will be seen. Well, it's 3 steps forward, knocked sideways, and 2 steps back. And sometimes the wilderness blends in with the track. All the way, gotta go all the way. All the way, gotta go all the way. No half measures, you wanna get that treasure, you gotta go. You might get lost, but don't you stop to count the cost. You might get bruised or even abused, but see it through. It's gonna be alright on the other side. You'll walk in the sunlight and you'll laugh at all your old excuses that you made up and then gave up along the way. Go on and walk through the wall of assumptions that block your way. It feels thick as lead, but really it's a thin veil. Be in your skin, feel your feet on the ground. 'Cause wherever you end up, there's treasure to be found. All the way, you gotta go all the way. All the way, gotta go all the way. No half measures, you wanna get that treasure, you gotta go all the way.
Yay!
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I loved it, loved it, loved it.
Oh, that's great. What did you love about it?
Well, I am one of those people that has a love of the lyric. And, so I guess for me, I love listening. Yes, I enjoy the musicality of the melody and tune, instruments, but I do default to thinking about and really tuning into what's the language here. I think it links just to my love of language and what's the story, what's the message. And I think for me, there's so many layers in this, and I'm intrigued about the process for you writing the song. Lots came up for me through the lens of my business, the type of clients that I work with, and the challenges and hurdles that I see them experience, that I experienced myself and still experience in some areas. So much is applicable. I think this could be my new theme song for the my group program. But also to, I guess, the broader human experience, that even if it's not about a business direction, if it's about what does this life look like to me, and what is it that I want? What do I have to risk in order to move in that direction? What do I take as a sign to keep going versus a sign to stop or pivot, redirection? What are the criteria that I use to make those decisions? So my brain was just popping with lots of things.
Thank you. Yeah, so just bouncing off what you said, you talked about, the language, and are there particular words or phrases, given that you like enjoy language, that stay with you, even if you don't remember the exact words, like it's there?
So one of them and it may be because of a recent conversation that I've had with someone, is about being here before.
Oh yeah,
This,
yeah,
yeah, that's a very common theme around aspirations. Um,
yeah,
that
yeah,
often there are ideas and thoughts that have been there, maybe. And I heard this term years and years ago that I loved, called an inkle. And an inkle is the smallest part before you have an inkling, but you
yeah.
have to be silent enough to
Lovely.
notice it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so often these inkles of maybe I want that. And we're not quite ready to take action potentially, or we're not quite even ready to accept that, oh, that is what I want.
Mm,
And it's those ideas, those inkles that form inklings and ideas, they hang around.
mm,
And that's why it can be like, oh, I've been here before. And it's each time you loop, it's another decision point of, do I do something about that
mm.
or not? Or is this just another lap around the Monopoly board?
You got one foot on the boat, one foot on the shore. Betwixt and between the known and the dream, you've been here before. Yeah, that was, I mean, that was the first line that came to me. Not only is it the first line of the song, but it's actually the first, because sometimes songs writing begins with a chorus or something down, further in the song. But this song just, it just started off at the very beginning, and it was, me going, oh, here you are, Brett. Like, one foot on the boat, one on the shore, and the shore of the known, and the boat of the vessel or vehicle that will guide into that water, and there was a kind of sadness with that. There was a sense of, oh, you've been here before. It's like, I think sometimes for me the passion and the vision and the enjoyment of pursuing something also comes sometimes accompanied by a sadness of the part of me that just doesn't feel up for it, or and wrestling with that, I think, is, well, that's part of the journey, isn't it? Hey, I don't know. What do you reckon?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that conversation sparks me about uh, that sometimes we can think that we're making progress or moving in a direction, but then we get to the next stage
Mm,
and we realize, oh no, this is the same thing, but just a different space. So,
mm,
for example, for me, I am a self-confessed recovering workaholic, sometimes not so good at recovering.
mm,
And I feel like I've made a number of changes trying to remove myself from an environment where that happened,
mm.
only to find, oh, hang on, we're on a different shore now, but I'm still bringing with me the thing that I said I wanted to get away from. And
Right.
so that is a different distinction around this. You've been here before.
Yeah, right. You got away from that organization or whatever, and then you ended up working for yourself. This tyrant. You found out that you were working for a tyrant. It's me.
My boss can be a bitch, really, seriously.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I love what you're saying in the journey. There's the two levels of the journey. There's the tangible, isn't there? It's like, I would like to achieve, this milestone, this tangible, concrete, action or result. And then there's this other layer, isn't there, of like, who do I want to be as I go? And you know, what's wanting to come alive in me and claim some space and have a voice that is maybe been dominated by other aspects of the psyche that have been really incredible in getting us where we've got to, but they don't necessarily get us where we want to go. So,
Mm.
mm,
Yeah, and to link back to your comment about, and I don't know if this was the word that you used, but that sadness or poignancy around the idea of lifting that foot from the known shore,
mm,
and that there can be that sense of, whether it is sadness or regret or whatever, there is that letting go
mm,
potentially of part of me or a way of being that I know is not serving me anymore. It got me here, so that's a good thing. But if I want that, this can't come with me. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that can apply to so many parts of our lives, whether it's relationships, whether it's habits around our health or well-being, or any of those things. And same even with vocation of certain skills perhaps that you've used, or a job that you've had that you felt super comfortable in. Like for me, when I was working in radio, I achieved a reasonable level of success in that industry and felt very confident in my ability, on the most part, to do what my job required of me and to do it to a reasonably high standard. And when I had what I call my early midlife crisis and I left that industry to go and train as a coach, one of the big kind of moments for me was realizing, holy hell, I I now am way out of my comfort zone because I don't have all the answers anymore. This is so new for me. Whereas before, if someone came to me and said, I need help with blah, blah, I'd be able to go, yep, no problem. You do this and then this and great, next. Whereas in this new chapter, it was very confronting for me to kind of almost feel like it's the snakes and ladders thing of like I was up there and it's like, back,
Yeah, yeah,
back
yeah.
you go.
That's a great image, snakes and ladders. What you said also reminds me of, it's kind of a good link to the song where I pull a line from the Robert Frost poem, the road less travelled. So, two roads diverged in the wood, and I took the one less travelled. And I kind of added to it that the road less travelled refuses to give guarantees. And I think it's all very well to, on a good day when you're dreaming about the vision, you're excited about it, and then there's this fact that if it's really something, some calling or something that you're creating that is new, or that has a uniqueness to it, or that you haven't done before, then there is uncertainty. It's very real, and it can just whack you in the gut sometimes. I feel it viscerally sometimes, that sense of, just when I think I've, become fairly mature and grounded and, creative, and then just out of nowhere, I'll go, oh, you just, yes. Sometimes when I'm out of my depth, I'm just a little boy again, just kind of going, oh. Amazing. How do you resource yourself in moments like that?
I think one of the things that I have attempted to develop, I would definitely say I have not mastered this, and I'm not even sure that there is a point of mastery that you can really reach, but about expecting to feel uncomfortable and to see that feeling of discomfort as actually a sign that I am genuinely stretching myself in the right direction. And so it's about, I think, what I make it mean when I feel that sense of uncertainty, and I think there's something in the song about that too, about, what you do when you have a setback of, instead of early days, for example, for me, if I just use my business evolution, because it's probably the one that's most top of mind for me, is, saying, okay, I want to go that direction, and I am backing myself and I'm excited and all of that. And then I have an expectation about how something's going to go, or how fast the business is going to grow, or how many clients I'll get, or how much they'll pay, or any of all of the things that you have these expectations. All of those bring discomfort, and there are no guarantees about any of those. In my early days, if I put an offer out and got no interest, or two people said, oh, maybe, or whatever it was, but it was a long way below my expectation, that would have been something that kind of caused me to retreat, lick my wounds, second guess, and it would be a long time before I'd put something else out again.
Yeah,
Whereas
right.
I think over time, whether it's battle scars or resilience or just recognizing this is part of the game. If you want to play this game and have the great treasures that are available, I mean, when you do go all the way with it, what comes with it is the discomfort of disappointments. And I think what I make that mean and how I respond is different now than it was in the early days. I don't know if that answers your question.
It does, yeah. And I've been reading lately some Taoist writers and as ancient Chinese philosophy, religion, and they talk about the way, and part of what they did is that they really took the piss out of thinkers of the day who got too caught up in this idea of striving and attaining, enlightenment or confidence, or to swap out whatever word you want. You just sort of reminded me of that you just expect you'll be meeting all kinds of things along the way within yourself, and that's actually an indication that you're on the path. And when I work with my clients, when I've got my coaching hat on rather than my songsmith hat on, for them a lot of the breakthrough comes when they stop thinking of their fear and vulnerability as an inconvenience to be rid of, and start thinking of it as an aspect of self that has something to say, and can be honoured and met with compassion, and that's quite freeing, when you kind of really drop into that idea, because then you've got your vulnerability and what matters, what matters more than my fear, what is that vision, and why does it matter? What might it look like and what might be possible? And that's with my vulnerability and my fear and my doubt. It's not kind of covering it up. It's two things we're holding.
Yeah, which links for me to another piece in the song where it was about the progress, about getting knocked off your path.
Yeah. Might
like
get
that.
Lost, but don't you stop to count the cost. You might get bruised or even abused, but see it through. It's gonna be alright on the other side. You'll walk in the sunlight. That bit?
Yes. I don't know if it was that bit. It was, whilst that was a beautiful bit, because the bit that I was thinking of made me think about those moments of pursuit of the outcome, the oasis that you're heading for. And when things don't go to plan, you get, the 2 steps forward, or you get knocked sideways or something.
Yeah. 3 steps forward, knocked sideways, and 2 steps back. Yeah, that's right.
Yes. And that bit makes me think about, and I have a complete bias towards this, but around living life and work as part of life aligned to our values, and that having values and knowing what's important about not just the end destination that you think that you want, but about how you get there. And also that reminder of, well, hang on, I've been knocked about. It didn't go the way I thought it would, or this trajectory is actually more of a fuzzy front end.
Yeah.
For me, I think that's the other thing of like having a long-term vision of what it is that success looks like in whatever it is that you're heading towards, and then having your values as the filter for decision making about, well, how do you get back on track when you get knocked off, and how do you move forward in a way that feels aligned and does feel successful, rather than just, I'm going to get there at any cost.
Yeah. It's a beautiful Franciscan writer, priest, Richard Rohr, and he talks about, what does he talk about? You reminded me of it now. It's gone out of my head. Well, maybe it's that. Maybe that's the point. You have to get lost sometimes. Like, I've just lost my train of thought, and it's a little awkward and vulnerable. But that's it. Yeah, it's that we're co-creating. He talks, because he's coming from a religious angle. He talks about co-creating with grace, and this, from a religious point of view, it's grace is what we're blessed with, and we're a bigger part of this journey. And I love that concept that, and his concept of co-creating with grace. So it's not just like, well, God willing, okay. I have agency, and I'm going to step on the boat and flow out with the river. And I'm in a kind of co-creative process, and so I'm not fully in control of this.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes being lost. That's the line I got around. Sometimes the wilderness blends in with the track. And I
Mm.
love that line. It just came to me one time when I was really in a space of, God, just totally kind of lost, and just, and you cling and you scramble and you, for me the breakthrough came when I just went, like, I'm lost, and hung out being lost for a while. And I find it's so amazing how sometimes in the surrender there is a space that opens up into which the understanding comes. And
Yeah.
it's such a paradox. It's such a beautiful paradox. And my ego does not want to be lost. And fair enough. Who wants to be lost? Like, you could die out there.
Yeah.
It's like, so I get it. But it's such a radical idea, I think, to recognize that some of the treasure and some of the insight, and maybe even the path, the path blends in with the wilderness. It's not always going to look like the path. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I'm rambling a bit, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
What do you
but
say to
I
that?
think even your moment of losing that train of thought, it wasn't until the moment where you're like, oh, maybe that's the point. And it's like the getting lost was required in order to create enough pause
Mm,
for you to have the insight. And if you had kept pushing to find it, you probably would be more in the wilderness.
yeah,
But it
yeah,
was the moment of actually acknowledging, oh, well, and it's that letting go for a moment of whatever it is, of whether it's the bravado that we think that we have to have of always knowing the answer, like I felt like I needed to when I, went
mm,
from a job I was familiar with into a whole new territory. And I definitely, I did a lot of lone wolf activity in the early days because I felt like I had to be able to present that everything was going great,
mm,
that I knew what I was doing and it was all going well. And that if I was going to actually, reach out for help or a conversation, I might have to actually admit that, oh, well,
yeah, yeah,
maybe things aren't happening. And I didn't want to do that. So I didn't
yeah.
do that for a long time. But I know that slowed my progress. And so I think it's
Mm,
that human thing that we have of, we're grasping towards what we want so much, but don't realize that it's the grasping that's keeping us from it. I
mm,
wish there was
mm.
something we could do as a, bring, let's just remove that, but it's part of the process, I think.
Well, a key that I've found around grasping is really around physiology. It's I mean, I'm a bit of a kind of head type person. I do think a lot, and I love that, and that's a great gift, I know. But sometimes I would over index on thinking, and I found it such a gift in somatic work. So if I'm in that space of grasping and holding on tight, that I used to do all these kinds of relaxation techniques, which are great, and I still do. I haven't thrown them out at all, but I just have another choice now. Sometimes I'll just actually stop and feel into the grasping. Like, I go, okay, hello,
Mm-hmm.
hello, grasping, because it lives in the body, and it's, once you breathe and kind of, it's a frightening thing to do in a way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which makes me think of, and I actually have you to thank profusely from my heart for introducing me probably 10 years ago. No, longer than that, to mindfulness. I had never heard of
Ah, right.
mindfulness until you started talking about the Mindful Leader conference that you were going to. Anyway, as a result of that, mindfulness is a big part of my life, has been for many, 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 many years. And one of the teachers that I listen to talks about this approach when we are struggling and, perhaps there's that inner voice, which again links to the song around being abused. What that brought up for me was that sometimes we're being abused by our own inner critic as much
Mm.
as anything external. And one of the approaches that they suggest trying is that everything and everyone is welcome, and that you're an affable dinner party host,
Yeah,
and that
right.
no matter what character arises, that your role is to say welcome to the party.
Yeah, it's a beautiful
And it's
concept.
like, it's
It really
giving
is.
isn't it beautiful? And it's kind of, when I first heard it, I was like, what? When I think about my inner mean girl and going, yeah, welcome to life. But in doing that, it does acknowledge and allow space for whatever that is and whatever the message is that that part of us wants to
Mm,
share,
mm.
rather than slamming the door in their face and try and
Yeah,
pretend they're
yeah,
not there.
yeah.
And so I think there's something around that, around managing
Mm,
our own inner critic and what we do with that, and whether that's
mm.
about grasping or about, you know, self-judgment of where someone should be by now in relation to the path, or
You
um,
just reminded me of a
yeah.
client I worked with who was very high critical, self-critical, and also critical of others. It was one of, a real roadblock for her development as a leader. Um, and one of the breakthroughs for her came when I asked her, when you think about not being critical, what feels at risk?
Oh,
So it's a
great
kind of,
question.
yeah, it's another angle on what you just said about everyone's welcome. So rather than saying critic bad, off with you so I can live in the light all the time, it's saying this critic's here for a reason. And when you talk to the critic and you say, hey, what would the world be like without you? And you authentically listen with curiosity and compassion and respect, you will hear something, some vulnerability or fear like if I don't, her answer was, if I don't criticize people, they'll never learn. And if they don't learn, then our whole team, we're going to lose credibility. And that's the end of the road for me. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And this kind of vulnerability bubbled up. That was it was a palpable shift of being. It didn't come by trying some way to get rid of the inner critic. It came by investigating in what is the function that critic is trying to achieve. And yeah, so thank you. That's I think a great takeaway, and for those watching. And by the way, if you're still watching, thank you for watching and joining in on this delve. Maybe you've got some insights. I might just for a moment throw to you people, how do you resource yourself and what journey are you on? And I don't know, maybe Chandra, as we kind of think toward wrapping up, not that we're in a rush, but I don't know, are there any, having had this conversation, are you left with anything that you'd offer people to say, hey, think about this on your journey?
I think the thing, and interesting, I think it aligns with towards the end of the song, that whatever this thing is that we're aspiring to be or to achieve or have, if that's our treasure, if you can be courageous enough to acknowledge for yourself first that that's something that you want, and then to commit to going in that direction, like you're saying, been here before, and you got to go all the way to get there. If you can bring with that aspiration a sense of trust that no matter what, you actually can't lose, because either you'll move in that direction and you'll learn more that allows you to realize that that's not what you want, and you'll pivot and there'll be a new thing, and that's treasure, or you'll get closer to that thing and be able to taste it. And for me, I I've been in business almost 9 years, and it has not all been easy by a long shot. And there's much more that I want to achieve. But I very frequently find myself walking to my dog, who I'm a bit obsessed with, and walking in the morning and saying to myself, I love my life. And I feel so incredibly grateful for past me being brave enough to face each one of the inevitable hurdles and to keep going. And I know that things can change at any time, but the treasures along the way, you can't fail. Because even if I decided I don't want to do this anymore and I'm going to go and get another job, I've had this great experience and I bring with me to whatever the next job might be. It's unlikely, but let's just say I know that there's extra value that I can bring now because of where I've been. And that if there, I think there's a gift and a freeingness that comes with that, which in some ways can soften the attachment to certain outcomes that might hold you back.
Thank you. That, and that's cycling me back into the song of that line of be in your skin, feel your feet on the ground. And wherever you end up, there's treasure to be found. So thank you, Shandra. That's such a great way to finish on, is that trust. That's a beautiful value to call upon, or even just be willing to open up to. I find when I'm in doubt, it's it is hard to find that trust, but I think willingness is the bridge. Sometimes I say to myself, okay, trusting in the journey seems quite a distant cerebral concept for me, but I'm willing to. And I find that a nice bridging step, because that's a commitment. That's saying I'm not just subject to my doubts. I have it, I'm human, and that has a voice, like we've talked about. And I'm an author in my life, and so I am willing to trust. I'm willing to make an assumption that this is unfolding for some kind of reason, and we'll see where we go, and I'll keep my eye on that prize. The chorus of the song, of course, is all the way. And I wrote the song because I wanted to remind myself to keep going and see something through. So I might say my tip for people, a possible takeaway is I call it a no debate zone. It's I found this a real breakthrough back in an earlier chapter of my life when I was sort of reinventing myself and my career, and I'd had some breakthroughs, and I'd had pretty big breakdown, and I was thinking about getting back on the boat, and I had a great coach who said, who introduced this idea to me. He said, take a chunk of time that feels right for you. And make it a no debate zone, and I did that. I said, all right, for the next, I think I said a year actually. So for the next year, this is the commitment, no matter what. And I'll note, and I imagine I will still feel at times a extraordinary sense of doubt that it is the right path, and that's fine. But and I'll feel that, but I'm not going to debate it. I'm not going to get into lengthy debates with myself about it. I've been through a process of thinking and talking with my coach, and now this is what I will do. No debate zone. Go all the way to that milestone at least, or in the pursuit of that milestone for this period of time. So that's my offering.
Oh, I love it. I think it's a very good one.
Thank you. Is there anything else bubbling and brewing for you that you'd like to let bubble out to these lovely souls watching us before we wrap up?
Probably so many things, but I love the song. I love the layers of thinking that it triggered in me, and all of the gems that, if you think about what does that mean to me, I think there's just value in that and exploring it. And I think, I hope that people watching, get some insights as well around how they can perhaps use this as a way to help make decisions about where they're going and the energy and the attitude that they bring with them. So I just want to say thank you for inviting me to be part of this Song and Delve. It was super fun.
Oh, such a delight delve with you, Shandra. Hey, I'll put the Transit Lounge details in the video description box of YouTube if you want to check out Transit Lounge and Chandra's work. This song is going to be recorded and it'll be on iTunes and all the streaming platforms. That's probably going to take a while to get done, but that's next. That's the next song on the recording list. So look out for that. And in the meantime, folks out there, just check out links also in the video description to how you can hear my music and different platforms and things. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the like button, hit the bell if you want notifications of these videos. And thank you again for joining us in the delving. All the best for you in your journey. And Shandra, once again, a wholehearted thanks to you and your beautiful spirit and your lovely way of seeing the world and offering insights for people to get a reel on
Absolute pleasure.
their journey with their inklings. Thank you for helping people hear their inklings.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Brett.
Cheers. Bye, everyone.